Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. I'm Nicolette Hodge. Welcome to We Reflect the Light. Sisters and brothers, the war in the Middle East is in full throttle, full action. It's intensifying moment by moment. We know exactly how this war is going to turn out, sisters and brothers. The unsealed book of Revelations, which is the Injil, gives great details on this war and many wars to come, and several events and signs that is taking place and will take place. So we're going to start off with the scriptures. This is part 2 of the economic collapse. We're starting off with the scriptures. And we're going to see what the scriptures has to say about the famine that's going to happen as a result of America's economic destruction. Excuse me, sisters and brothers. This is part 2 of economic destruction, which is far more severe than a collapse. Okay? A destruction. That means no more. That means total obliteration. So we're going to see what the scriptures has to say about the economic destruction, zooming in on the famine, which is going to happen any day, any moment. Famine will strike America as a result of America's economic destruction. And we're already feeling the effects. The American economy is under severe pressure due to the war in the Middle East, sisters and brothers. Gas prices are climbing. Food prices are going up. And the quality, I noticed that the gas is burning quicker. So it appears as if they're stretching the gas. So the prices are going up, but the quality is going down. And that goes for the food as well. So sisters and brothers, we're going to start off with the scriptures, look at what's about to happen, and then we'll come back to where we are right now. And then we'll end off reiterating showing what America is saying out of their own mouth about the famine. So let's get right to it. All right. This is what's going to happen right here in America, sisters and brothers. This is the book of Micah. I said, listen, you leaders of Israel. We're not leading ourselves right now, sisters and brothers. It's not talking about us, all right? It's talking about these devils. Listen, you leaders of Israel. You are supposed to know right from wrong, but you are the very ones who hate good and love evil. You skin my people alive and tear the flesh from their bones. Yes, you eat my people's flesh, strip off their skin, and break their bones. You chop them up like meat for the cooking pot. Then you beg the Lord for help in times of trouble. Do you really expect him to answer? After all the evil you have done, he won't even look at you. So right there, sisters and brothers, these devils love evil. It shares that they will skin us alive. You skin my people alive. And you tear the flesh from their bones. We are in the time of unprecedented trouble, sisters and brothers. That means that things are about to be on a very magnified, dramatic, chaotic, mass panic situation. This famine is going to be so intense that these devils will result to cannibalism. Now, the 3/5 human clause in the U.S. Constitution classifies us as animals. Now, they claim it's just for voting rights and all this other BS. And if that's the case, then why haven't they changed it? There are Black people in different positions of power, government officials, democrats, all right? And that's not our people. They don't care about us. They're not worried about that 3/5 human clause. They haven't changed it. They fought for abortion, gay rights, gay marriage. They fought for children to be able to turn themselves. Boys can take shots at school to turn themselves into girls. Girls can take shots at school, turn themselves into boys without their parents' consent. All of these things that they are pushing is destroying the original nation. All Blacks are classified as animals under that 3/5 human clause. And understand that they have kept that clause in there in the U.S. Constitution on purpose. They're dealing with us shrewdly, sisters and brothers. So that means that they have things already set up, and it's set up right in front of our face. However, we're not identifying it for what it is. So they're deceiving us, they're tricking us, they're dealing shrewdly with us. So that means that you cannot take anything for face value. All right? That also identifies that these devils may be acting nice right now, holding open doors and making conversation. They're nervous. That's part of them dealing with us shrewdly. They know their time is up. They know that we are in the time of judgment. And they know that they are under judgment for what they did to us. So they're trying to keep us docile and relaxed and submissive. However, don't be fooled. That's all part of them dealing with us shrewdly. They don't want to alert us to the fact that our lives are at risk, sisters and brothers. And they have planned this out to the best of their ability. They have a plan, and Allah has a plan. We are the best of planners. Allah is the best of planners, sisters and brothers, and we are the body of Allah. We are Allah. So, when there's no food, They already had us legalized as their food. So, in a food shortage, a famine, no food at all, they have us legalized as their food supply, their food source. And the scriptures is telling us exactly what they plan to do to us. You you eat my people's flesh, strip off their skin, and break their bones. You chop them up like meat for the cooking pot. So these devils are gonna be chopping us up like we're at a butcher market and making soup out of us. Sisters and brothers, if you read this scripture and you have any ounce of understanding of what's being said here, if you understand that the scriptures are speaking about this time period that we're in, and that the scriptures is our guide, it is our light, then you automatically know that you don't want to be in this situation. And I'm speaking for us as a people. This is the time of unprecedented trouble. We cannot even fathom being in this type of scenario where these devils are sizing us up and picking us out so that they can fillet us up, choosing if they want a thigh or a breast or an arm or a kidney or a liver so that they can eat us. They're not talking about this on the news, sisters and brothers. They're touching on how bad the food situation is, but they're not telling you the bottom line of what the result of a famine is going to be. However, I will show you a news clip where these devils admit out of their own mouth what they would do in that type of situation. So we do have a clip of that. However, this is not something that's being identified. Yet they still have us classified as animals through the 3/5 human clause. So they're aware, they have some type of inkling of a situation coming up where they wouldn't have any food. That's why they have us in their back pocket like that. So, sisters and brothers, we are in danger. Let's keep moving. Book of Deuteronomy. The most tender-hearted man among you will have no compassion for his own brother, his beloved wife, and his surviving children. All right there, that tells you there will be no unity amongst these devils. Every man for himself. They won't have any compassion for each other. He will refuse to share with them the flesh he is devouring, the flesh of one of his own children, because he has nothing else to eat during the siege and the terrible distress that your enemy will inflict on all your towns. The most tender and delicate woman among you, so delicate she would not so much as touch the ground with her foot, will be selfish toward the husband she loves and toward her own son or daughter. She will hide from them the afterbirth and the new baby she has born so that she herself can secretly eat them. She will have nothing else to eat during the siege and terrible distress that your enemy will inflict on all your towns. So, from a male point of view, he's not going to have any compassion for his wife, his children. And from a woman's point of view, she's not going to have any compassion for her children, her husband. She's actually going to give birth secretly. How can you give birth secretly? That means she'll have to be in silence, giving birth to her own baby, which she's going to turn around and eat and not share with the rest of her family. This is how intense, how severe the famine will be, sisters and brothers, that these devils will show the beast that they are. And we don't want to be around for this. We don't want to be nowhere near these devils during the famine. Because again, they have us on the menu, sisters and brothers. It's right there in the U.S. Constitution. The 3/5 Human Clause identifies that all blacks are on the menu in the time of famine, period. And before these devils start eating each other, they will most certainly do what's already legal, which is eating black people because we're 3/5 human. This is part of what we're up against, sisters and brothers. The time of unprecedented trouble. That means that it never happened before and it will never happen again. However, we have to get through this. We have to get through unprecedented trouble so that we can get to our destination. We have a vision. We have our own home. We have our own land to return to. We have been promised our own economics. So this economic destruction that's about to happen right here in America is good for us. The destruction is not for us. It's not to destroy us. It's to release us. This economic destruction is to release the grip that these devils have on us because they have us all wrapped up in their economic system. They're enslaving us, taking in the maximum amount of energy they can get out of us and throwing us back shit. Maximum profit, minimum overhead, capitalism, democracy, all of that is against our nature, sisters and brothers. So we have to get through this famine obstacle, this famine situation. This famine is part of the unprecedented trouble. And we have to endure, overcome, and exit out of America and this unprecedented trouble. So right here with this scripture, the first thing I notice is that there will not be any unity amongst these devils. However, our power is in our unity, sisters and brothers. Unity is a part of our nature. It's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It's part of our discipline, and we are disciplined by nature. So we will have unity, compassion for each other. However, they won't. So, sisters and brothers, let's keep moving. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 65, verse 13 through 16. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says: My servants will eat, but you will starve. My servants will drink, but you will be thirsty. My servants will rejoice, but you will be sad and ashamed. My servants will sing for joy, but you will cry in sorrow and despair. Your name will be a curse word among my people, for the sovereign Lord will destroy you and will call his true servants by another name. All who invoke a blessing or take an oath will do so by the God of truth. For I will put aside my anger and forget the evil of earlier days. Right, sisters and brothers? This is what we have to look forward to during the time period of this famine. We will eat while they starve. Understand that this famine is part of America's consequence for the 400 years of enslaving and afflicting the original black man and original black woman right here in North America for the last 400 years, putting us through the Holocaust, unyielding, unrelenting horror 24/7. Not slavery. Understand that slavery is only 1% of our experience. That's the maximum profit, minimum overhead. That does not include rape, sodomizing our men, torturing us around the clock, disfiguring us, burning our babies up and feeding them to alligators. That's not a part of slavery. Understand that the Holocaust is our full experience, which fully identifies the enslavement and affliction that we endured. Slavery is only 1%. The other 99% is affliction. They maintained that economic system of slavery by putting us through horror, by afflicting us. So these devils are in a lot of trouble for the way that they conducted themselves towards us while they were in rulership. Now their time is up. While they were in power, which their power is rapidly fading, while they were in charge, they did anything and everything to us that you can imagine, sisters and brothers, and all the stuff that you can't imagine. They did it. So this famine that's coming to America is a part of America's judgment. This is a part of America's destruction. We have not done anything wrong. We are not sinful. See, if we were sinful and evil and wicked and whores and female dogs like Farrakhan calls us, if we were all of those things, he's constantly accusing us, then why would this scripture be given to us? So you have to understand, sisters and brothers, that we have not done anything wrong. We were told to submit to these devils, and we did that 100%. So that means that what you might think is the worst brother or sister out here in the streets just doing all kind of stuff. That brother or sister is not sinful. That's a very submissive brother or sister. We were told to submit to these devils, and that's exactly what we did 100%. So if we're out here and we stink and we got shit on us and we fighting and stealing and doing drugs and selling ourselves and selling drugs, what have you, understand that you cannot blame the product. You have to blame the manufacturer. That's what these devils have produced. And if they were good, righteous people, like they claim to be, then they would have done good, righteous things to us. But they didn't. They did evil, wicked, horrible things to us. And if we were told to submit 100%, which we did, and if we're submitting to these devils, then that means we're going to be acting just like them. So we're not here to critique our people, especially our sisters, our warrior queens. The most worst off brother or sister that you think, that you might be thinking is worse off, that's a submissive brother or sister. The issue is that the time of submission is over. And we are commanded to give them back double and then come out of America and hither, which means return to our land, which is in between the river of Egypt and the great river, the river Euphrates. Our land is Arabia. So now there's a different command for this time period. So you just need to get the update. You just need the correct information so that you can make the correct decision. However, you're not sinful. You haven't done anything wrong. So understand that whole sinful thing that Farrakhan is feeding you lies and deceit, misconceptions. That does not apply to us. However, that identifies who he is. He is the accuser of us, the accuser of our brothers. That means he's accusing us, and scriptures tells us he's accusing us day and night. That means relentlessly, nonstop, 24/7, around the clock. He's always accusing us. While defending America, defending false Israel. And that's because he's one of them. He is the son of a devil. So he loves his devil fathers. He doesn't want to speak against them. However, he hates us because it's in his nature to hate us. So, sisters and brothers, this destruction that's coming to America, it's not for us. That's why we have to overcome America, overcome this gravitational vortex, overcome this mind that they have us operating off of, which is totally against us. Overcome this emotional realm that they have us in. Everything is based off of how we feel. Our actions are ruled by our emotions under the devil's rulership. So that's how they have us doing things. Everything is about desires, stuff to make you feel good. Have our women walking around naked. All of that is emotional. In the church on Sundays, hooping and hollering and screaming, all of that's an emotional thing. Matter of fact, the whole situation, the whole reason that our brothers and sisters are in the church is because, again, emotions, scared, fear of going to hell, not even realizing we're in hell right now. We've been in hell for the last 400 plus years. But this psychological fear, all of these emotions that these devils have us wrapped up in. So we must understand that we have to overcome this emotional realm, this low frequency. So that we can get home and build our paradise. Right now, we're in hell. Not only because of where we're at, however, the state of mind that these devils have us in. They have us in their state of mind. And they are hell. They are the personification of hell. Louis Farrakhan is the son of hell, the son of perdition. So that's who they are. However, they have that rubbing off their BS on us. We were told to submit to them. So that's the condition that we're in. However, we have to rise above that. We have to overcome it. So the point is, sisters and brothers, this is a very motivational and uplifting scripture, because with all these bad things, all of these horrible, all of these this time of unprecedented trouble, the very last slide before this was telling us how they're going to be eating each other. They're going to be eating their own babies, giving birth in silence, giving birth in secret. The scripture before that, how they're going to be chopping our bodies up, tearing the flesh off of our bones. However, then here this scripture says that we will eat and they will starve. We will drink and they will be thirsty. So that tells you right there that we're not being punished. We're not a part of America's destruction. We're not sinful. So understand that. All we have to do is accept our own. And what does that mean? Be ourselves. Operate according to our nature. Get our true mind back and activate it, which is the angel mind. With that being said, sisters, I like the sisters, the warrior queens. This scripture in the book of Joshua, have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be dismayed. Do not be afraid nor be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And this is speaking to Joshua. This also extends to the warrior queens. This extends to all of the sisters and brothers who align themselves with our vision and apply the discipline, the 5 pillars of Islam. And fulfill our vision and our mission to unite the original black man and original black woman and exit America. We will do exploits. Not a hair on our head will be harmed. And as long as we do what we're supposed to do, handling business, we are 100% protected. So understand that, sisters and brothers, specifically warrior queens. Why am I highlighting this? This will be a very stressful time for a mother. Scriptures is telling us to flee. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, know her desolation is near. Then we're told to flee. Don't go back to your house, get your baby out the crib or nothing. Just flee. We saw how these devils will be given birth in silence so they can eat their own children. This is a time of unprecedented trouble that weighs very heavy on a sister, that weighs very heavy on a mother. Because not only are you worried about yourself, you're thinking about your babies. And it goes even deeper than that. Just from being a mother, now you're thinking about everyone that you love and care about as if you birthed them yourself. So now you've got like hundreds and millions of babies out here. It totally, without understanding what's going on, it could be very stressful. So this is to reinforce that you will be secured and you will be protected, sisters. All you have to do is step up and claim your reward. Because your path is paid in gold. It's paved in gold. However, we have to overcome our emotions so that we're not pulled down by our emotions. Time of unprecedented trouble. That means unprecedented emotions. That means unprecedented feelings. That means an unprecedented mission. And if it wasn't for us, sisters, there would not be anyone. There would not be, we wouldn't be standing here today, sisters and brothers, if it wasn't for the strength and the courage and the wit of the original black women when we were in the fields. And these devils were trying to rape our seed out of existence by jumping on us whenever they felt like it, still in our wombs, forcing their devil seed into us, making us give birth to their demon children, their house Negroes. And we saw what they were doing. We saw that they were trying to wipe our seed out of existence. We were not allowed to procreate, to be intimate. We were not allowed to get pregnant by our own man, the original black man. If these devils even suspected that we were pregnant with an original baby, they would torture us and kill us. So we made it possible for the Abrahamic covenant to be fulfilled by sneaking to procreate, sneaking to get pregnant, so that we could keep Abraham's seed alive, so that Abraham's seed could receive what has already been promised to us, which is Arabia, our promised land. So if it wasn't for the sisters, we wouldn't even be standing here today to receive our reward. These devils tried to rape us out of existence. Sisters, understand that. Out of 34 million blacks in America, 17 million are demons, house Negroes, black-skinned Caucasians. So half of the blacks in America are really Europeans and black skin. And the other half, 17 million, are the original sisters and brothers, the saints. Mass's goal was for all 34 million blacks to be blacks, black-skinned Europeans. We said no. These devils went to war with us against our seed. And we were victorious in that battle. We overcame them. We won that battle. We wouldn't be standing here today if we didn't win that battle. So the point of the matter is that we're going into another battle. We have a winning streak. They didn't defeat us. And they won't defeat us in this next battle. So be courageous, sisters, what you're already doing. Understand that we will be secured. We will be protected. We will eat. We will drink. Our babies will eat. Our babies will drink. However, the responsibility on us is to be in the right place at the right time with the right mind. So if this makes sense to you, sisters, you should have a 30-day supply of food packed up in your car that does not need to be cooked, ready to go, so that we can get to the safety point when it's time to move out. Because we're about to come together as an exceedingly great army overnight. And if we're coming together as an exceedingly great army, not a congregation, not a birthday party, understand that, an exceedingly great army, that means that we're going into battle. And we're not the aggressor. We're not looking for a fight. However, scriptures is already telling us that they're dealing with us shrewdly, that they fear us rising up against them and leaving the country. That's exactly what we're going to do. We want out. And we have a door out, sisters and brothers. We have a door out of America's destruction. We have a door out of this famine. So let's keep moving. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 12, which tells us exactly how the war is going to turn out. It tells us who's involved. It tells us where the war is. It verifies what we see today in real time. Occurred war in the heaven. Understand that heaven is the Middle East. The Supreme Wisdom lessons tell you that our home is in heaven, our heavenly home is Arabia at the holy city Mecca. So, heaven is on earth, not in the sky, not in some mystical la la land, some mystical realm of spook that you cannot identify, you can't see it, you can't verify it. No, heaven is on earth, heaven is the Middle East. We're returning home to Arabia. It's no coincidence that there's a war going on in the Middle East and our home is in the Middle East. So that means somehow, some way, this war is related to the Abrahamic covenant, which means that this war is related to us because we're the true seed of Abraham. The Abrahamic covenant belongs to us. It's our inheritance. It's our reward. It's our birthright. So whatever happens in heaven, which Arabia is the root of civilization, the Supreme Wisdom Lessons tells us that. So that means whatever goes on over in the Middle East, whatever goes on in heaven, most certainly is connected to us, has a lot to do with us. It's about us. Michael and the angels of him, of the two war with the dragon. And the dragon warred and the angels of it. So there's two groups there. That's Michael and his angels, and it's the dragon and his angels. So two groups. One group is led by Michael, the other group is led by the dragon. And not it proved strong. Not but place was found of them yet in the heaven, and was thrown the dragon, the great, the serpent, the archaic, the being called devil, and the Satan, the making to err, the being inhabited whole. He was thrown into the earth, and the angels of him with him were thrown. So this scripture is telling us that the dragon and his angels are going to be defeated and thrown out of the Middle East. So they're going to lose the war. And Michael and his angels are going to be victorious in this war. So who's Michael and his angels, and who is the dragon and his angels? Michael, the God, Master Farad Muhammad. His angels are brothers, Iran and Syria. The dragon, the house of Saud, renamed our land Saudi Arabia, sitting on our land, controlling our oil, pretending that it's their land. They didn't go through 400 years of enslavement and affliction, so why are they over in Arabia? Why are they in our land? Well, what does the dragon do? The dragon's angels are America, Britain, and false Israel. The dragon fuels his angels. So the house of Saud is sitting on our land, Arabia, to guarantee a oil supply to America, Britain, and false Israel. The dragon fuels its angels. And this entire economy runs off of fuel, oil. They cannot do anything without it. They need it to do everything. So the house of Saud will be kicked out the Middle East. America and Britain will be kicked out of the Middle East. Understand that America and Britain back and support false Israel 100%. Without that backing and that support, false Israel is left stranded and will go under siege by Michael and his angels. Scripture tells us when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, you will know her desolation is near. So that identifies that false Israel is about to be destroyed. We know that Jerusalem surrounded by armies is a configuration on the angel key. However, the bottom line is that false Israel, it's not a maybe, it's not a might be, it's a definite. False Israel will be destroyed. So America and Britain get kicked out the Middle East. That also means that their connections, understand that them getting kicked out the Middle East, they will have no more connections to the middle, no more oil. They won't be getting any resources. They won't be getting anything out of the Middle East anymore. Period. Had to pack up their stuff and leave, they'll be getting kicked out. Not as simple as packing up and leaving, they're getting thrown out. Evicted. And with Iran and Syria winning the war, being backed by our God, Master Farad Muhammad, they get control of our holy sites, of our land, of our oil. So there is a purification process taking place right in the Middle East, right before our eyes, purifying heaven so that we can return to our home, Arabia. So that what's going on in the Middle East is a great thing. It's a good thing for us. However, as a result, you understand that when a child is born, it's a great thing that the child is born. However, there's some pain involved and there's some uncomfortable situations involved in the childbirth for the mother and for the child. In this situation, understand that America is our mother and we are in the womb of America. And we're about to be born. We're about to be birthed. Our nation is about to come together and we're going to be born overnight. America is not going to survive this birth. Some mothers die in childbirth. That's what's about to happen to America. However, the birth itself is uncomfortable. So this fuel is about to get totally cut off. We're already feeling the effects of the Strait of Hormuz being closed, the disruptions to their fuel as a result of the war. You can only imagine what it's going to be like once the war is said and done, once the war is ended, once America is destroyed and kicked out. Once Iran, Syria, and our God, Master Farad Muhammad, take their victory. Once they have their victory, Master Farad Muhammad is going to ensure, by them winning the war and getting in control of our oil and resources, and America getting totally cut off and kicked out, that means that America's economy will be destroyed overnight. Again, we have been promised our own economics, so this is good for us. However, all of the things that's going to be happening, that's what we have to get through, sisters and brothers. Life as you know it right now will not be the same. There will not be any more going to work. There will not be any more going to school, going to parties, playing around. It will not be any of that. Nothing. Nothing as you know it right now will be the same. Your life will change. Right now, you feel good. You have a full stomach. Things are cool. However, it's so dangerous to judge things by the way that you feel currently, judging by feelings instead of thinking logically and mathematically about was to come and preparing for that moment, being as prepared as we can be to make that transition from this reality of the American dream into our reality of the Abrahamic covenant. Moving out of America, letting go of this mindset and this way of life, uniting under our vision of the Abrahamic covenant, coming together and making our exodus out of America so that we can get home to our own land. We have to overcome all of these things to get to that point. However, with discipline, with the right mind, and our vision, we're going to overcome. We're going to be protected. So that's motivation right there to let you know that what's the saying that they say, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We're reflecting this light, sisters and brothers, so that you understand that there is an exit door out. You don't have to stay here and fight. You don't have to beg these devils for anything. You don't need to be down on your knees praying to some mystery God. This is the time for us to reclaim what has been taken from us. Our dignity, our power. Give these devils back double. We have to come together first, sisters and brothers. That is part of our power and discipline, is in our unity under one vision. So understand that this economic collapse, this is good, sisters and brothers. Good for us. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring in some news clips and then close out. Thank you for having me, sisters and brothers. Assalamu alaikum.
Fertilizer shortages are becoming a key factor for farmers. Analysts say it's already shifting expectations for the year ahead. Rabobank projects U.S. farmers will plant nearly 96 million acres of corn and more than 83 million acres of soybeans this spring, largely unaffected by rising input costs. But in other parts of the world, disruptions from the Middle East could hit hardest. Brazil, India, and Australia could limit crop expansion and reduce yields. Analysts say those pressures are most likely to affect farmers with less access to credit, raising concerns for global food production and long-term supply.
Due to the ongoing US, Israel and Iran conflict, you must prepare for a severe food shortage. Most people think only oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz, but that is simply not true. This narrow waterway is also an important route for global fertilizer. Reportedly, around 50% of the world's traded urea fertilizer moves directly through the Strait of Hormuz. If this military standoff continues, a global food crisis is inevitable. Urea plays a critical role in food production, and the biggest producers are located around the Persian Gulf, including Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Large shipments from these nations pass through this route daily. If the strait remains disrupted, we face a massive fertilizer crisis. When supply drops, global agriculture is heavily affected. Dependent countries like Pakistan, India, Brazil, and African nations will face major problems. If this route stays blocked, the impact goes beyond energy markets, triggering higher food prices, lower crop production, and severe shortages. Tell me below.
Well, we have a major problem. Farmers are actually skipping this planting season. Some farmers are selling their land to developers, others are leasing it out to other farmers, and right now it is a huge concern. This could mean a food crisis or food shortage is upon us. It could be in the next several months. And that's what experts are concerned with. I've been telling you this for the past several weeks, that a food crisis is likely coming. Exactly what it looks like and who it impacts, that we just don't know. But look at this. It says, some Minnesota farmers skipping planting season amid rising fuel and fertilizer costs. Now, I want to read a little bit of this to you, because there are several factors that are being considered here. It is the cost of fuel, the cost of fertilizer, the cost of just planting and the labor, but there's also things like, shipping, what are we going to do there? And then you factor in a possible drought, you factor in water shortages in some parts of the United States, and I talked about this just yesterday, and then on top of that, you factor in the actual price of the crops. Everything is going against farmers these days. Look at this right here. It says, planting is underway and spring conditions have been good across much of Minnesota. But even so, some farmers are electing to sit out a year. Says, it's very dry for April 20th. We have great field conditions, dry soil. The frost is out of the ground. Okay. It says right here, as a farmer, I'm optimistic that eventually we're going to have a market that will support farming. It says right here, the neighbors will pay me $300 an acre, and I can just take the year off. I mean, yeah, it's a very particular set of criteria for you to be able to do that. But this is what people are doing. They're taking a year off of farming. Okay, think about this for a second. Now, I asked a couple people that, again, are farmers, and one of them is selling some of his, or renting out some of his land. Listen to this right here, okay? This person says, and I quote, I don't think enough people are talking about our food shortage that we have here in the United States. Many farmers that I know have personally stopped planting new crops for this season. Many, and including myself, won't make any money due to tariffs, the war, and the rising oil and fertilizer prices. And because of that, we are using our land for other things. Personally, I rented my land to a group for a music and craft festival. I know I won't make a lot of money for this entire year, but it's enough to pay my bills for the next few months. So I'm happy with that. That's what he said. That he is going to rent his land out. And I don't know how much. I don't know how much this person has. But he's going to rent his land out to a group for a music and a craft festival. I don't know if it's music and craft, or it's a music festival, and then later on it will be a craft festival. Have no clue. Didn't ask. But I think that's interesting, because more and more farmers are considering that exact move. Just not farming this year. Look at this one right here. It says, not very appealing. Low crop prices weigh on Minnesota farmer going into planting. If the crop prices are low, why would somebody go and pay more for the fuel, the machinery, right? The water, everything? Why would they pay, and the fertilizer, why would they pay more to get it, pretty much growing, when the crop price is not supporting the cost of actually planting? That's the issue. And I think a lot of people are missing that. Look at this one right here. It says South Alabama farmers delay planting amid global shipping disruption. It says rising fertilizer costs, supply delays leaves Mobile and Baldwin County growers weighing whether to plant this season. Somebody else wrote to me, this is exactly what they wrote, and I quote, "You are right. A food crisis is coming, and most people have no idea how bad it could get. I would normally help out my brother on his farm, but he hasn't planted anything this year. My brother says that because of crop prices and recent labor costs, we need to change our plans. We have roughly 110 acres of wheat, but he says he is saying that we need to switch to soybeans if we plan to keep going and make money. Instead of the full 110 acres, we are only going to harvest 40 acres because that is all we have the ability to do this year. And he even brought up the idea of selling 25 acres to a nearby farmer so that we have some cash for a few years. Okay, now here's what I find interesting. One person says they're going to rent out their land, okay, to music and craft festival. This person says they're considering selling 25 acres of land to a nearby farmer so that they have cash for at least a few years. That's interesting. Two different ideas, two different styles here. But what's similar about all this is the farmer isn't making money. Farming is not making the money. That's the difference. Okay? And again, they say they have 110 acres of wheat. From what I know personally, wheat is expensive because it does require a lot more fertilizer for it to grow. So if you don't have a lot of wheat, you don't have high wheat, that's an issue. Okay, you don't need to have based off, again, my farming knowledge, which I'm not a farmer, I'm not an avid farmer here, but you don't need a lot of acres. But if your wheat's not getting high, that's an issue. If it's very short because you don't have enough fertilizer, that's the problem. That's why you're not making enough money, is because it's not getting high. Okay, not necessarily you need more acres. If you have 200 acres but your wheat is only a foot tall, it doesn't do much for you. But you have 50 acres and now your wheat's like 3, 4, 5 feet tall, that's going to do a whole lot better. Okay, because again, it requires less water, less maintenance. Okay, and again, same amount of fertilizer. So that's the key there. I want to show you one last thing though. Okay, it says right here, war-driven fertilizer. Diesel spikes threaten U.S. farmers at start of planting season. Planting season has begun. This is planting season started like a month or so ago. Okay, and in different parts of the United States. The issue here is simple. We have a water shortage in certain parts of the United States, especially on the West Coast and even in the Southwest as well. So that's an issue. We have some interesting temperatures. I was watching a TikTok just this morning, and the farmer was saying that, well, they were getting out trying to do as much as they possibly could because of the weather. The weather went from freezing to 70 degrees, and it just went back and forth. Now, I was traveling just the other day, and one of the things I noticed, I was coming home, and it was probably about 11, maybe it's almost midnight, and I'm coming home, and I'm realizing that there's people out spraying some orchards. They're spraying, or they're like putting pesticides or whatever it is. And they're doing this at like 11 o'clock at night. And I thought this was interesting because, again, why would they be doing it at that time? Well, I looked into it. Some say, well, because of the weather. That they need to get the pesticides on at a specific time or a specific temperature. Which sometimes it means it's in the middle of the day. Other times it's not. And it's in the middle of the night. Just because of specific temperatures. But again, temperatures have been just insane this past several months. And so right now, some are saying that that's the hard part, is they are trying to keep their crop. They want to harvest, but the issue is, should they even plant? Because again, why would they plant? They'd get the water, they'd get the fertilizer, they'd have all the fuel costs. Why would they do all that and not make any money? That's the big question. So I'll leave you with that, but just understand at this time, there's a lot of concern that some of these farmers aren't planting and don't plan to harvest simply because of the cost, which could actually impact every single one of us, because we would actually have a food shortage here in the United States. So we'll see what's going to happen,